The world is running out of glitter, and nobody knows why. Except for this woman.
Can you tell me what your biggest buyer is?
No, I absolutely know that I can't.
Okay, but you know what it is?
Oh, God, yeah, and you'd never guess it. Let's just leave it at that.
This is a reenactment of a conversation between a New York Times journalist and a manager at one of the largest glitter companies in the world.
Why can't you tell me?
She responds from a nondescript warehouse in suburban New Jersey.
Because they don't want anyone to know that it is glitter.
Thousands and thousands of people have been trying to solve this all across the world. They can't. Years after the internet swarmed on this mystery, it's still unsolved. We don't know who they are, and we don't know what it is. So I reached out to my friend Podgy, an Emmy-winning video journalist who has worked on some of the biggest stories with outlets like the New York Times and the Washington Post. Collectively, we've spent the past 35 weeks asking all the questions we could. We documented everything on our journey to answer this seemingly impossible question. Late nights, red-eye flights, we did everything. And what we realized is that the answer can only be found by going there.
So, where's all the glitter going?
Did we ever figure out where the fuck all the glitter
I
is
want
going?
to know what this company is.
What the? What is it? Who's buying glitter?
Who could it possibly be?
I have the answer.
I've solved the
I
mystery.
finally figured it out.
In our deodorant.
Toothpaste.
The U.S. Treasury.
More than a little mystery about it.
It's the glitter fortune.
When attempting to solve what might be the internet's greatest mystery, where do you even begin?
Hey, buddy.
What's up, glitter boy?
Well, we started with emails. We reached out to everyone we could find that may know something. Ex-Glitter employees, Katie Weaver, the New York Times journalist that wrote the piece. You name it.
Let's say we reach out to the wrong person. I don't want them to just run back to HQ and report everything we know so far. So
The thing about glitter is that it's deceptive. Glitter wants you to think it's one thing, while it's really something else entirely.
And then they talk about how glitter can enter the ultraviolet spectrum. What happens below violet is ultraviolet, he said. You don't see it. So an animal would be able to see something there that I can't see, I asked. If it can see in the ultraviolet range, then yes, he said.
Biggest theory right now on Reddit and on TikTok is that it is boat paint.
Popularized by a podcast called Endless Thread, who claimed to have figured it out a few years ago.
But I'm very much against the fact that it's boat paint.
Many have found gaping holes in the boat paint theory.
It said in the original article, jet skis.
GlitterX has been very upfront that glitter is used in boat paint.
Why would boats be a secret?
This is the craziest thing.
We noticed something that we had missed. In retrospect, the answer had been right there in front of us.
I mean, this is crazy. It truly shifts your perspective. Like all of your life you believed one thing and then it is being used in something else. That's crazy.
What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Lead was not removed from paint because children were eating the paint, but lead was removed because it actually protected us from dangerous frequencies going through the air. That is my favorite conspiracy. Again, this is all silly. This is all just, jokes and for entertainment purposes. It's not real, but that's my favorite conspiracy. How about that? Because why would the government care about kids eating lead, but they don't care about anything else? I mean, they don't care about other toxic chemicals in the water or the food supply or toys, but they had an issue with lead because we know how lead will block X-rays and microwaves and whatnot. That's why they have you put a lead blanket on when you go get an X-ray for your dental X-rays. So I love that conspiracy though. That one, and also snake oil salesmen were actually onto something. That snake oil was actually healing, but the big pharmaceutical companies did not want that, so then they smeared the snake oil salesmen to then push their drugs. Again, just one of my favorite conspiracies. The lead paint and snake oil salesmen were actually legit, and snake oil was actually useful. Again, just my favorite one.
There's some conspiracy theories that I think have passed the level of theory
and are true. Women's clothing is designed with little to no pockets for the sole purpose of selling more purses. High-end art is just a scheme to launder money and avoid taxes. Like this one here sold for $43 million. This one sold for $46 million. This one was $84 million. Someone actually paid $87 million for this. This has got to contribute to inflation in some way. Leaks that happen in the entertainment industry, like with movies, TV shows, video games, are done on purpose to gauge interest and get opinions before an official announcement. That little bit of dust that comes off the end of tissues when you pull them out of the box is specifically designed to get you to sneeze, that way you need more tissues. The government orchestrates their own conspiracy theories to get us distracted from actual problems.
The art pieces you see in the art galleries, they are basically purchased by millionaires or wealthy people to avoid taxes.
Side of Disney World, the company doesn't want you to see. If you look at a map of the park, there's a little green spot in the middle of Bay Lake. There's no description of what it is, and it's completely off limits to everyone, including employees. Around 20 years ago, this mysterious island was actually another Disney park called Discovery Island. You'd take a boat from shore, arrive at the island, and basically look at exotic birds. Fast forward to 1999, Animal Kingdom opens, and it's basically a bigger and easier to get to version of Discovery Island. This sparked the very quick decline of the island. Today, it's abandoned and in ruins, completely overrun by nature. It's also heavily guarded. If you're anywhere near Bay Lake, you can be assured that you're being watched. It makes you wonder if there's more to this island.
They don't even hide it anymore.
The season premiere of SNL with Ice Spice.
Ooh, look at us, 3 Gen Z icons.
Aren't you like 40?
No. Long time ago, I met this guy and made a deal where I get to stay 25 years old for forever.
What guy?
Tall fella, horns, red fur, I don't know, little hoods.
Keen, that's the devil, dude.
What? I thought it was like a Times Square Elmo or something.
What's a conspiracy theory that you 1,000% believe in?
So every year allergy season rolls around and more people are starting to learn about botanical sexism, which is basically that city planners, who are mostly male, decided that female trees are too messy, and so they planted overwhelmingly male trees that release pollen, but not enough female trees to absorb the pollen, so we have more pollen floating around in the air than ever, which leads to increased allergies. But what everyone somehow forgets to add is that the reason female trees are messy is because they produce fruit. And I high-key believe that botanical sexism is driven by capitalism and making sure that people who live in urban areas don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables that aren't provided by corporations.
Advanced cloning. Some rap conspiracy theorists are suggesting that Kanye West has been replaced by a clone. Pointing to his recent controversial behavior as evidence, they claim that the old Kanye is dead and that an imposter is now impersonating him. These theorists highlight Kanye's dissing of Jay-Z and Beyoncé, his support for Donald Trump, the cancellation of his tour, his mental breakdown, and even his change in appearance as suspicious. While cloning technology exists, the idea of Kanye being replaced by a clone is highly unlikely and lacks substantial evidence. These conspiracy theories can be seen as far-fetched and not grounded in reality.
So the original Kanye is gone, and now we're seeing a cloned version.
Dave Chappelle tried to warn us.
Do you know why Prince, the famous rock star that was a friend of mine, do you know why he called himself the artist when he came back? He calls himself the artist because that's what they call us in our contracts. Oh, these contracts are crazy. You should hear the terminology they say in these contracts. To use your name and likeness in perpetuity throughout the universe. Who the fuck could possibly know what that means? Nobody does. It's so complicated, in fact, that when you're a kid like me, you have to hire somebody to tell you what that means. And you sit down at a table and you do the contract game. And that's how I got with Comedy Central. I signed the contract. But I signed the contract the way that a 28-year-old expectant father that was broke signs a contract. I was desperate, I needed a way out, and it wasn't good money and it wasn't good circumstances, but What else am I gonna do, I said. And all these white people sitting at that table told me, trust us, Dave, it's a good contract. And I looked around the table and they all seemed to agree it was a good contract. But what if it was like that game of 3-card Monte? What if they were all friends and I didn't know it?
Do you agree with Dave Chappelle? Could there be a darker side to these contracts? Or is he making this up? Drop it in the comments. And TikTok, this video is for entertainment purposes only.
I mean, to be honest, he's clearly warning us in a subliminal way, not so much explicit.
Everything seems pretty normal up until this point. You'll see some pictures here in a moment, but then about here, things get a little strange. So now we're going to go through a series of pictures where you see the little girl have a range of emotions, and then right about here, she sees something wrong as he pulls away. What does she see? Well, we're all about to see it for ourselves as he stands up and looks at the camera right here. What's weird is somehow the guy holding the microphone misses this part, but here very soon he's going to notice something that is amiss. I think that'll be right about here. And he looks a little... I think that'll be right about here. And he looks a little disturbed. After seeing this, he quickly walks away, and then acts like nothing ever happened. Look at his face. Yikes. You also see a couple of Elvis's men seeing everything as it happens. One of them steps in front of the camera. The other man goes directly for the eye that was just melting. Here we go again, in real time. See Elvis's guy step in front of the camera right here. Then the other guy goes right for the eye.
Does this actually prove that Elvis was a reptilian? I don't think so.
The ice wall has actually been found. They filmed it. Watch this.
Then the ice starts to go from smooth to starting to break up here.
Like, where are we right now? What planet is this? Just take a phone picture. I like how that Earth is meeting the glacier. See that interesting shape?
Oh wow, yeah. Making? Just mesmerized. I've never seen terrain like this.
It's so insane, isn't it? How? Because this is right at the edge of it. It's pools of water.
Full ice, like cold. I don't even know what
Not like nothing you've ever seen, huh?
Nothing like nothing.
It blows away anything we've seen so far.
Oh man, the ice below us is that's like the Grand Canyon of ice.
Yep.
Just like blown away looking up at the walls and the peaks next to us.
You know all the scary things that have been happening at the Euphrates River?
What's going on there?
Okay, so the Euphrates River is actually located in the Middle East, and it's considered one of the longest rivers in the world, but it's actually drying up. Like, it's almost completely dry. But where the river's drying up, they're actually finding caves and different structures that have been under the river this entire time. But it's actually really scary that they're finding this.
I don't get what's so scary about that.
So what's crazy is the drying up of the Euphrates River is actually written in the Bible. And in the book of Revelations chapter 9:14 through 9:15, it says, "Release the 4 angels bound to the great river Euphrates." And then it says the angels were released to kill 1/3 of all mankind.
So what you're saying is when the river dries up, it's basically the end of the world.
Yeah, and just to put that number in perspective, 1/3 of the world is 2.6 billion people. And it's just super weird that they're finding all these caves under the Euphrates River.
Did you ever hear about the Grand Canyon theory?
No.
So the Grand Canyon, one of the world's wonders. There's a theory that the Grand Canyon holds something that none of us knew was there. So back in the 1850s, right? Yeah. The Grand Canyon was used to mine gold. When people started mining it, the gold index crashed because they found so much gold there. Okay. Now what happened was the government and the military, they closed it off and they made it a sanctuary so that nobody can just go there and then take whatever they want. There was this one guy, his name was Seth Tanner, and he was an explorer. He explored this one cave and he claims what he saw was ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics in one of the caves.
Oh, what did it say?
The Grand Canyon, it actually holds the lost city of El Dorado.
What?
Like, you know, the lost gold city of El Dorado.
Yeah, the whole city.
The whole city. So if you think about it, it's never found. That ancient tale that all of the natives talk about, the lost city, and the reason the government and the world is trying to keep it a secret is because it would crash the gold price.
So someone posed a really good question. A113. Let's talk about it.
So A113 shows up in a lot of cartoons, a lot of films, all that kind of stuff. Check this out.
Yep.
Now, the official narrative is that it's a room at the California Institute of Arts where a lot of animators took a class. That's the official story. I find it really interesting because symbolism is very important in the entertainment industry. What do you guys think? Do you believe the official narrative, or do you think there's something more to it?